Honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of fruit cobblers, so I worked on a recipe that would avoid the things I usually don't like about fruit cobblers. Also, we bought way too many peaches. I'm gonna use 3 for this, but 4 would work if you like it real fruity. I'm gonna start these in a pan, and this is how I cut peaches as I eat them. Paring knife straight down to the pit, which locks the knife and protects your hand. Move over a little and do it again, and a perfect little wedge pops out. It looks kind of badass, and you don't get fibers in your teeth or juice all over your face. That's just a little life hack for you. But I'm using the same procedure to cut wedges into my pan. This way I don't have to dirty a cutting board, and I like how we're getting the red flesh that normally sticks to the pit. That will actually color the syrup that we're going to get going. Peach number 3, and if you get a few particularly thin and attractive slices, you can set those aside for a garnish. All done, time for sugar. I'll grab about 3/4 of a cup of sugar, 150 grams, and I will put about half of that into the peaches. Get it dissolving with a splash of water, or maybe some peach liqueur if you have it. Very nice. A lot of water is going to come out of the peaches, but not quite enough to keep the sugar dissolved during the whole cooking process, so you need some other liquid. Heat on. Meanwhile, I'll melt a stick of butter, half a cup, 113 grams, got that, it's for the batter. Stir them peaches before the sugar burns. My heat is pretty high because there's a lot of mass in here to absorb it. There, you can see the syrup coming together. All right, a cup of flour, 120 grams. Put in the rest of the sugar, that's like a 1/4 cup. Half a teaspoon of kosher salt, or maybe a little bit less because I used salted butter. And then a teaspoon of baking powder. Stir, stir, stir those peaches. A cup of milk, 237 mils. One day I want to try using a cup of peach schnapps instead, but you'd probably have to reduce the sugar a bunch. For flavor, I'm just doing vanilla. I love vanilla and peaches, though some cinnamon or pumpkin spice would be nice and very traditional. Stir them peaches or else the bottom will burn. I'll stir up this batter until it's a very runny pancake consistency. It's basically cake batter, except it has no egg, so it's going to have more of a biscuity, soft shortbread vibe. It bakes up fluffier if you let the batter sit and autolyse for like 10 minutes while you're finishing up the peaches. This will be delicious, but not particularly healthy for me. For real food, I turn to Hungry Root, sponsor of this video and the easiest way to eat healthy. If you can't make it to the store, or if, like me, you just have really poor judgment at the store, Hungry Root is like hiring your own personal shopper. You tell them what your nutrition goals are, whether you want ready-to-eat foods or some stuff to cook or a mixture of both. They source top-quality groceries free of most of the things that people often try to avoid. Nice little snacks like this fruit and the vegan cookies Lauren has there. They also sent me some recipes. I usually follow some of these and then just kind of improvise with the other ingredients they send me. Nice pre-cut vegetable medley there. This is going to be a delicious fresh salmon and veg meal in like 3 easy steps. Check my exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus a free item in every box for life. Hit my link below, hungryroot.com, and use code RAGUSIA. Get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life with code RAGUSIA. Thank you, Hungry Root. Anyway, these peaches might be done enough for you. They only need like a little head start, but I really dislike the texture of cooked fruit. I don't like feeling those mushy plant fibers. If you keep cooking, though, the fruit will get to the point where it breaks down and it has more of a gel-like texture that I think is much nicer, so I'll keep going. You can also just put the peaches and the sugar and the schnapps directly into your baking dish and give them their head start in the oven. That's easier, but it takes a long time, like almost an hour. This is faster. I'm happy when they start to resemble canned peaches, which I absolutely love. They're soft and yet more plump than they were before, thanks to the osmotic effect of the sugar. I want that syrup to flow out into the baking dish, and I'm afraid it's going to set up firm by the time it cools a little, so I'll loosen it with the last shot of liqueur, and we are done. Got a baking dish here, pretty standard size, 1.5 liter, grease her up. This gets you a nice brown crust, brown edges. In go the peaches and all that beautiful pink juice. The batter has thickened enormously while resting. Scoop all of that on top, and you could bake that as is, but I like to scoop under the peaches and then fold once or twice just to get a little marbled effect. And then I'm smoothing out the top to make room for my garnish, which I'm going to put on later. In the oven at 375 Fahrenheit, 190 C, a little foil underneath in case that syrup boils over. I don't think it will. Like 15 minutes later, I'll drop on my thin peach slices. This is just for pretty, and they'll look nicer if you don't bake them for the whole time. After about 40 minutes total in my oven, I like how this looks. Just bake until the top is cracked and golden brown. And cobbler is one of the few things that tastes good straight out of the oven if you like it hot. Nobody expects clean slices. A serving of cobbler is just a pile of stuff. I really like that dense, cakey texture. It's almost like an extremely fruity pound cake. It holds itself together more than other cobblers, so it's less mushy. The peaches have almost broken down into a gel, but they're still recognizable as peach slices. There, now I don't have to feel guilty about having bought too many peaches. I can instead feel guilty about eating syrup cake. That's progress, baby.